Think about the one problem in your life that you can't seem to fix. Maybe you can't lose the weight. Maybe you can't get out of debt. Maybe your relationship feels distant. Maybe you're exhausted every day. Maybe you have a dream that you keep talking about but never actually begin. I can almost guarantee that one of four things is happening. You don't have the resources. You don't understand the problem. You understand the problem, but you're not making the change. Or you are making changes, but the life you're building is not actually nourishing you. These are the four elements of human experience: pentacles, swords, wands, cups. Most people were taught that the pentacles mean money, swords mean conflict, wands mean passion, cups mean love. And that's not completely wrong, but it's far too small. Because these four suits are not four disconnected categories. They are four jobs that every human life must perform. Pentacles provide the resources, swords create the plan, wands make the change, and the cups experience the result. Resources, plan, change, life. Now, once you understand those four functions, tarot begins explaining far more than relationships, money, conflict, passion, whatever. It begins explaining how a human life actually works. Now, magic makers, last time we talked about how tarot is a grammar, not a dictionary. Remember? A card is not a frozen definition. The suit tells us what area of human experience we're dealing with. The number tells us what is happening in that area. And today I want to make the four suits extremely simple. Each one asks one question. The pentacles ask, what do I have available? The swords ask, what is true and what is the plan? Wands ask, what needs to change and will I act? The cups ask, what kind of life is this creating? That is the whole system. What do I have? What's true? What must change? And what kind of life is this creating? So let's break each one down. Pentacles represent resources. Money is one resource, but it's not the only resource. In the system we've been building, the 6 fundamental resources are time, effort, energy, money, space, and spirit. The pentacles ask, what is available to me and where's it going? You may have enough money, but not enough time. You may have enough time, but no energy. You may have energy, but no private space in which to work. You may have time and money, but no spirit left for the thing you claim matters. That's a pentacles problem. So imagine that someone says, I want to write a book. Great. But do they have time set aside to write? Do they have the energy to concentrate? Do they have a quiet space? Are they willing to give the project consistent effort? Do they have enough spirit, interest, and devotion to remain connected to it? See, the dream is not enough. The dream must be supported by resources. Or imagine someone says, my relationship is the most important thing in my life. But the relationship receives 15 tired minutes at the end of every day. Work receives the best time. The phone receives the attention. Stress receives the energy. Everyone else receives the effort. Then the relationship receives whatever's left. That's a pentacles problem. The person may have love, but the love is not being supported by resources. So pentacles are sort of the inventory of your life. What do you have? How much do you have? Where's it going? What's receiving the best of you and what's receiving the leftovers? Okay? And this is why the 5 of Pentacles can mean poverty, but it can also mean something much broader. Something necessary is missing. Maybe money is missing. Maybe time is missing. Maybe effort is missing. Maybe energy, space, or spirit are missing. The Five of Pentacles asks, which resource should be here but isn't? And that is much more useful than just saying, this card means financial hardship. Okay. So once you know what resources you have, you need to decide where they should go. This is the work of swords. Swords represent understanding, truth, thinking, planning, priorities, and decisions. A sword separates one thing from another. This matters, this does not. This is true, this is false. This comes first, that can wait. The swords ask, what is actually happening here? And then, what should I do with what I have? So a budget is a sword, a calendar, a meal plan, diagnosis. A written list of priorities is a sword. A decision is a sword. So imagine that you say, I don't have enough time to exercise. Yeah, that might be true. But the sword wants to examine it. Well, where's the time going? How much time is spent working? How much is spent scrolling? How much time is spent watching television? How much is spent recovering because you stayed awake too late? Now, the sword doesn't shame you. It looks for truth. Maybe you truly don't have an extra hour. But maybe you got 20 minutes. Perhaps 3 20-minute walks would work better than waiting for the one perfect hour that never appears. So the Pentacles show the available time. The swords decide where that time belongs. And this is also why the Five of Swords can represent intellectual labor. Something is missing from our understanding. The answer is missing, right? The explanation is missing. The solution is missing. The mind goes to work because it has not reached clarity. The Five of Swords says, I don't understand this yet. The Six of Swords says, now I have the answer. Well, the Seven of Swords says, I have so many possible answers that my mind has become crowded with noise. So, too little information, just enough information, and too much information. And that's the movement of the suit. Swords don't simply represent painful thoughts. They represent the entire process by which we examine reality, create a plan, and choose a direction. Now, you can have resources. You can have the problem. You can understand the problem. You can create the plan. And still, you can do absolutely nothing. This is where the wands enter. The wands are agency. The wands begin with awareness. Something must change. This cannot continue. I can't keep living this way. That's the first spark. Then awareness becomes intention. I'm going to change this. And then intention becomes action, right? I'm changing it now. The wands ask, what am I going to do about what I know? You can know that you need more sleep. You can understand why sleep matters. You can create a perfect bedtime schedule, but when 10 o'clock rolls around, you still have to turn off the TV and go to bed. That's the wand. You can know that your spending is out of control. You can build a beautiful budget. Okay? But you still have to stop making the purchase. You still have to transfer the money. You still have to make the payment. That's the wand. You can know that a relationship needs attention. You can schedule time together, but you still have to do the work. Put the phone away, right? You still have to listen. You still have to have the uncomfortable conversation. You still have to show up consistently. That is the wand. Wands are not merely passion. Passion is easy. Many people feel passionate for about 20 minutes. The wand is the ability to direct that fire. And this is why our Six of Wands represents calm leadership. Quiet, calm, confident, clear, consistent, compassionate. You recognize that something needs to change, then you lead yourself through that change. You don't scream at yourself. You don't shame yourself. You don't create chaos. You become quiet enough to see the problem, calm enough to respond, confident enough to decide, clear enough to know what comes next, consistent enough to continue, and compassionate enough to make the change sustainable. That is leadership. And before you lead anyone else, you've got to learn to lead yourself. Now, the cups are where everything lands. Pentacles give us the resources. Swords direct the resources. Wands make the change. Cups receive the result. The cups ask, what kind of life am I actually experiencing? Do I feel nourished? Do I feel connected? Do I feel restored? Do I feel purposeful? Do I feel supported? Do I feel that my life belongs to me? Cups are not merely emotions. They're the lived experience created by everything else. This is why the Six of Cups can represent the 6 pillars of well-being: sleep, nutrition, movement, stress reduction, relationships, and purpose. Those are the things that help keep the human cup full. Well-being does not mean feeling happy every second, right? Grief is part of life. Effort is part of life. Disappointment is part of life. Pain is part of life. The question isn't, am I comfortable all the time? The question is the life I'm building capable of nourishing me? Someone may earn a great deal of money and still be miserable. Pentacles are present, but the cup is empty. Someone may have a detailed plan for every hour of the day. The swords are active, but the cup is empty. And someone may work consistently, train constantly, create constantly, and achieve constantly. The wands are burning, but the cup is empty. That person has not necessarily built a good life. They've built an efficient machine. The cup asks whether anyone actually wants to live inside that machine. So here is the simplest way to remember everything we've discussed. The pentacles provide, the swords decide, the wands, I dropped one, the wands change, and the cups experience. Or even more simply, resources become plans, plans become actions, actions become life. Then life gives us feedback. If the cup is empty, the wand says something must change. Then the swords ask what's actually wrong, and the pentacles ask, well, which resource needs to move? Then the wand carries out the change, the cup receives the new result. This is not a straight line, it's a cycle, it's a spiral. You live, you notice, you understand, you reallocate, you act, you live differently. That's the machinery of human development. You wake up every morning exhausted. The cup shows the experience. You don't feel well. The wand recognizes something needs to change. The sword examines the situation. You're staying awake until midnight, even though you need to get up at 6 a.m. The pentacle, being lost, is time. So the sword creates a plan. Television goes off at 9:30, phone outside the bedroom, lights out 10. The wand follows through. Then the cup receives the benefit. You sleep longer, you feel better, you become less irritable. You have more energy for movement, you have more patience for relationships. One simple change begins strengthening several pillars of well-being. You're constantly anxious about money. Pentacles reveal the resources, right? What's coming in, what's going out, what debts exist, what's actually available. Swords create the budget. This amount goes to the house, this amount goes to food, this is to debt, this is going to stay in the savings account. The wands make the change, so you cancel the subscriptions, you make the payment, you ask for more hours, you raise your rates, you stop making the purchases. And then, of course, the cups receive the benefit. Less fear, more security. fewer arguments, more freedom to give time and energy to the things that matter. Money itself is a pentacle, but the reason we manage money is very often a cup. We want peace, we want health, we want better relationships, we want a meaningful life. You feel disconnected from someone you love. Cups reveal the problem. The relationship no longer feels nourishing. The wand recognizes we cannot keep living like strangers. The swords look for the truth. When did this begin? What's changed? What are we avoiding? What conversation needs to happen? The pentacles reveal what's gone missing: time, effort, energy, money, shared space, spirit. The swords create a plan. Dinner without phones, one evening together, a direct conversation, a clear boundary, right? And then the wands follow through. Then the cups begin receiving nourishment again. Connection returns. Or perhaps clarity returns. Sometimes a healthy cup means restoring the relationship. Sometimes it means accepting that the relationship has reached a necessary ending. The purpose is not to force a particular outcome. The purpose is to meet reality honestly and create the healthiest life available. So this framework gives you a very simple way to diagnose almost any problem. When pentacles are missing, you don't have the necessary resource. I want to do it, but I don't have the time. I have no energy left, can't afford it. I got nowhere to work. When swords are missing, you lack clarity. I don't know what the problem is. I have no plan, I can't decide, I have too many options. When wands are missing, you know what needs to happen, but you're not doing it. I know what I should do, I keep putting it off. I'm waiting to feel motivated, or I begin, but I don't continue. When cups are missing, you're doing everything, but the result is not nourishing to you. I've achieved the goal, but I still feel empty. I make the money, but I have no life. I'm productive, but I'm miserable. I built what I thought I wanted, but I don't want to live this way. This is why one element cannot replace another. More money can't solve a lack of purpose. More information cannot solve a refusal to act. More effort can't repair a bad plan. More positive thinking can't replace sleep. You need all four. And this is where the four suits become a model of the magician. The magician does not worship one tool. Right? The magician uses every tool according to its proper purpose. Pentacles ground the work in reality. Swords distinguish truth from confusion. Wands direct the force of change. Cups receive and reveal the lived result. Resources without understanding become a waste. Understanding without action becomes rumination. Action without well-being becomes burnout. Well-being without resources becomes very difficult to sustain. The great work is not accomplished by thinking alone. It's not accomplished by wanting alone. It's not accomplished by working constantly. It's accomplished by bringing the whole system into alignment. What do I have? What's true? What must change? What kind of life am I creating? Those aren't merely tarot questions. Those are questions for living deliberately. So the next time you pull a card, begin with the suit. Before you think about the traditional keyword, ask the suit's question. Pentacles, what resource is involved? Okay. Then, swords, what needs to be understood or decided? Wands, what needs to change? Cups, what experience or state of well-being is being created? Then look at the number. The suit tells you which realm of life. The number tells you what's happening there. So, 5 of Pentacles may show a missing resource. The 6 of Swords may show the answer or plan. The Six of Wands may show the leadership required to make the change. The Six of Cups may show the well-being that change is meant to support. Now the cards are speaking to each other. Now you have a sentence. Now you have tarot logic. The four elements are not four disconnected piles of meanings. They are four parts of one life. Pentacles ask what you have. Swords ask what is true. Wands ask what you will change. Cups ask what kind of life you're creating. Resources become plans, plans become actions, actions become life. And when that life no longer nourishes you, the cycle begins again. Something must change. Now, in the next episode, we're going to add the hidden language of the numbers. And you'll see why the 4 builds, the 5 disrupts, the 6 supports, the 7 overwhelms, the 8 practices, the 9 lives, and the 10 reaches toward the ideal. And once we combine the suits with the numbers, you'll begin understanding tarot cards you've never memorized, because you'll no longer be repeating definitions. You'll be reading the language. Subscribe to Tarot Logic and stay with me as we build this system one simple piece at a time. And remember that the most important part of any tarot reading is you.